Hello, Seattle. This is your condominium market update for the month of June 2025. And it has been an interesting year with changes in interest rates and tariffs and stock market issues with the new presidential situation. So let's take a look at the Seattle condo market. It's different than it has been in the past. And I would say also, we're not necessarily looking at an apples to apples situation here because with a lot of the changes in zoning where we're allowed to, let's say, take a 5,000 square foot city lot and build a big house and a small condominium in the back, or tear down the big house and build 3 connected homes and call those condominiums. There's just a lot of new type of product going toward ADU and DADU products that may be connected, they may be standalone, but they are considered condominiums for legal purposes. And so a lot of those types of properties are coming into our data here, especially in the city of Seattle. So if you have a typical condo, we're going to take a look at some of the broader data, King County, Bellevue, Snohomish, and just see what trends we can pick out here as we look at the MLS data that closed out in May. It's June 2nd now, so this is our latest and greatest statistics, and we will see what trends we can spot. So let's take a look, starting in the city of Seattle, which I think is where we have the most condominiums, and it's this black line in our graph. Over here, it shows us that we have had a 3.5% year-over-year price increase for all construction types of Seattle condominiums. If we look at previously owned, which would rule out a lot of the condominiums, DADUs types of things that we talked about before, then we're looking at actually a decrease of 1% in the value. So if you bought a condo for $100,000, now it might be worth $99,000 if you had to sell it in today's market. And this is a blend of data over the past 3 months. So we're kind of coming out of the spring market, which is typically the strongest time of year for our market. And we can look similarly for previously owned condos. If we're looking at that data in King, Bellevue, and Snohomish, it's pretty much down across the board, down the lowest in Bellevue. Year over year, it's pretty close to where it was, less than half a percentage point down. So that gives us an idea of where we are with pricing. Let's take a look at new listings. And here's perhaps part of the story. We have a lot of new listings coming on the market right now. We actually have more listings now than we did during the doldrum in 2022. And if we look at this and from a more longer term, we're at a similar number of new listings as in previous years. But if anything, we're a little bit higher in King County, at least right here. This little hump is higher than a lot of these other little humps. So we have a lot of new listings coming on the market, a lot of people ready to move, people downsizing, getting married, moving up, all sorts of different things going on. But this was, you can see we had a few very low years where people weren't wanting to move. Largely, we attribute this to, like, if you wanted to move, you moved during COVID. If you wanted to stay in your house, you refinanced into a 3% interest rate. So after interest rates went up to 6 or 7, then not a lot of people wanted to move at that time. But now, life goes on. Things are happening. Most people don't move because of it's the economic moment to move. They're not market timing. They're just trying to move forward with their lives. So after a few years of fewer sales, now we're kind of going back to normal levels, it looks like. What about inventory? Are these homes selling or are they staying on the market? And this is showing us that inventory levels. This is homes available on the market. If you want to search the MLS for these properties, would you see 5 or 500? Well, right now in Seattle, you'd see 800 condos. In Bellevue, you'd see 159 condos, and that is higher than it has been in most other years. So we have more inventory now than we have in most other years in the last 10 years. So that tells us that buyers have more homes to choose from. They can be a little bit more picky. They can negotiate for things like closing costs to get covered by the seller. And the sellers are then having to make sure that they're not overpricing their homes and that the product that they're bringing to market really hits, that it's well presented. You've done everything with, cleaning the carpet, new paint, everything to make it look nice so that you have something beautiful to show that people are going to choose yours rather than, one of the 800 other homes that they have to choose from. Closed sales, how many transactions are taking place? It looks like not a ton, but similar levels in previous years. What about days on market? This is how long it takes from the day you list your home, the day you find a buyer who slides that piece of paper across the desk and says, sign here, I want to buy your house, right? So what is this looking like? And for median, that means half or more and half or less. The median days on market for condos is 21 days, 3 weeks in Seattle, which is the longest, 12 days in Snohomish County, not as many condos there to choose from. So 21 days in Seattle is still not bad. We would still consider that a very strong seller's market, but it's certainly longer than perhaps in some other periods here. It sounds like it's 50% more. So last year at this time, they were selling in 2 weeks. Now they're selling in 3 weeks. And on average, we see going up to 40 days on market. So that means some people are sitting on the market so long, it's dragging up the average numbers to quite a bit higher. But I would say in general, if you are not selling within the median time period, that's something to look at. Obviously you could drill down into is it 2 bedrooms? Is it 1 bedroom? Is it new construction? Like what's going on? You want to drill down into your zip code and get more accurate data. But for the most part, if you're not selling within the median time period, that's like you're not a hot home, you're not a popular home, you've got something going on, you might want to fix that sooner rather than later. So typically the longer you sit on the market, it's not great for your price. Are we selling for full price? Look at all of this. This was all during the time of the presidential election run-up. Typically that slows down the market quite a bit. And even now after January, we're still seeing stuff selling for below price. Let's look at averages. And let's look at, this is original price. This isn't just what it was listed for at the time of sale. But this looks like about 97, 98%. So we are not selling at full price. We're getting a little bit of a haircut there, but not too bad. 2 to 3% of the full price you started out asking for. That doesn't mean you should overprice when you are starting out. It just means that if you price reasonably, the market will come to meet you. And how many people are going to be through your home before it sells? On average, 7. That means people are not having to shop forever and ever. They're seeing something, they're liking it, and they're buying it within a week. So if you have, let's say your days on market, let's say you're in Seattle, okay, you have 21 days on market. In that 21 days on market, you could expect that you will have 7 people through your home, and you should have a buyer at that point. So if you're on the market for more than 21 days and you have not yet had 7 people through your home, you're behind the 8 ball, and you might need to make some changes to what you're doing so that you can attract more people. Likewise, let's say you've had 20 people through your home and still no offers. That's also an indication that once they get there, the home is not converting. So it's really important, especially if you are in a slower or weaker market condition, that you keep an eye on these statistics, that you work with your real estate agent when you're selling your home, and that you need to panic and change things, but you do need to know kind of where you stack up statistically so that if you're not meeting your benchmarks, you can adjust sooner rather than later so that you don't end up really having to slash your price after a long and frustrating period of low activity. So that's kind of what's going on in the condo market. Definitely a softer market, but the good news is that we're pretty close, pretty stable, not a lot of downturn even in these rocky times. So just stay the course. If you don't have to sell right away, just keep enjoying your condo. If you are planning to sell, know that this is still a great time and it's still a strong seller's market. I'm Realtor Emily Cressey, Keller Williams, Greater Seattle. You can visit me online at homeproassociates.com and subscribe to my monthly newsletter. We do these updates on the market monthly, so you can track what's going on with your biggest investment, your home. If you need help buying, selling, or investing in real estate here or across the country, I'm always happy to help. Look me up online at homeproassociates.com. And until then, I'll see you on the next video.